I want to bring up a subject because we clashed on this in the past. How on earth did you ever take Sarah Palin seriously? She's clearly deranged and was deranged from the minute she opened her mouth. Everything she said was insane. And yet you bought it hook, line, and sinker and then defended her against
I definitely did.
who actually wanted to hold her accountable for her lies. And you regarded that as a sort of class attack on this young housewife from Brasilia who was just trying to do the right thing.
How dare you, Andrew Sullivan, and tarnish the name.
That was the question. That was the issue. How dare you ask questions of this person who's just been selected? We didn't know anything about her. She could be vice president in a few months, and she tends to tell stories that make no sense at all, including the story of her fifth son, which is completely, utterly incredible. It didn't happen. What she said did not clear. I don't know what did happen, but she made up a story about that. As soon as you realize someone's making up stories like that, you realize she's out of her mind.
So I have come to see in the last decade that Sarah Palin is a bad actor. And so then I wrote a piece sort of saying, like, because you weren't the only one that I was mean to on my little blog. I was very mean to Kathleen Parker, you know, the Pulitzer Prize winning Washington Post columnist, who I felt very prematurely kind of pulled the rug out from under McCain Palin. And I wrote a column for the Daily Beast a few years ago saying, like, I'm not sure what Kathleen Parker saw, but she saw something that I didn't see. And Andrew, I have to be honest, I still don't know what it was. And I'll tell you why. Because here's where you and I do disagree. If you go back and watch Sarah Palin in 2008, watch her convention speech, I would argue to this day, A, it's a good convention speech. B, she has regressed. Like, all the crazy populist yelling that she does now and has been doing for the last decade, if you go back to 2008, she was a much better speaker. And I did not see the crazy person that she became. And I still don't see it, but I'm willing to concede that you might have seen it and Kathleen Parker might have seen something I didn't see.
I think, back then, the dish, we just, because this struck me as quite obvious, we just collected the crazy lies she told. They weren't elaborate lies. They weren't lies she had to tell. She just made stuff up all the time. And I think we came up to around over 25 of these lies that made no sense at all, that she couldn't retract, nor could she prove, but which were self-evidently untrue, including the story of her pregnancy, which struck me as important. And I was just terrified that someone, talk about elites, that a handful of people, Bill Kristol and a few others, because John McCain was so pissed off he couldn't have Lieberman, he picked this crazy person just to tell them to go fuck themselves. And people like Bill Kristol, talk about an elite, felt they had the right to impose this crazy person on the entire country and world. And that struck me as very disturbing. And then when those of us in the press really tried to find out about her, we would then pillar it. It strikes me that everything we know about Trumpism was there with Palin. She was John the Baptist, in a way. She was the model. Can I say anything? Can I be inconsistent from day to day? Can I tell lies that are so self-evident it's almost insane and get away with it because somehow the people that we've been talking about identified with her? And also, one of the most amazing things I found out about her during that was the first mention of Sarah Palin, then Sarah Heath, in the Anchorage Daily News was because she showed up for Ivanka Trump's store opening in Anchorage. She said she wanted some glamour